All right. Hello and welcome to a very special live stream of Setting the Skene. I'm Ben.
I'm Doug.
I'm Tristen.
Not Michael.
Yes, that is right. It is the OG four guys from Some Jerks Who Talk About Movies.
Hot dog.
Yeah. Elijah was not quite ready to be let down for this. So it is just the four of us tonight. But be sure to join us in the chat. As you can see, I guess it'll be on y'all's right. We're going to be words. We've got the chat. It'll be
we do be having comments.
Yeah, we do be having comments. So if you got something to say, got a question, be sure to drop that in. We might talk about it. But yes,
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Well, Ben, I'm so glad that you asked me on the live internet that we are on. Y'all, today we are watching the just released Zack Snyder's Justice League. So yeah.
Snyder League.
Yeah, a lot of great fun. Just so everyone is aware, we're gonna probably discuss overall thoughts about the movie at the beginning and not get into spoilers, and then we're gonna take a hard turn into spoiler territory. So if you haven't watched it, which is totally fine, it's only been out for 2 days, that's fine. But if you don't want to have it spoiled for you, then there probably is going to be a point where you're just going to want to duck out. Okay? All right.
Wow.
Sweet. I would imagine that you probably want me to give production information.
Yeah, that sounds pretty nice.
You know what? I want to hear that sweet Google review, please. Give me that Google review.
I got it. All right. So, like I said, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is the official title, came out, 2 days ago? It is currently streaming on HBO Max, currently holds an 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb, a 55% on Metacritic, a 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 95% on Google. As the name suggests, it was directed by Zack Snyder, stars Henry Cavill, Jared Leto for 5 minutes, Ezra Miller, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Ben Affleck, our boy Willem Dafoe, Jason Momoa, Jesse Eisenberg, Harry Lennox, J.K. Simmons. There's a bunch of folks in this movie, y'all. Oh, and Amy Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 4-hour movie. There certainly were many people.
Yes, definitely. This movie was made on a budget of the budget information is not on here. That might have something to do with the fact that it came out 2 days ago.
I think it was the original budget of Justice League plus $5 million more. I think
they can't count. They can't count too many monies to count. They're not done counting all the money.
Yeah,
I got you.
I think Zack Snyder just used an additional $5 million to finish.
Yeah.
50, but I have no idea.
They've been 50. I don't know.
It's a number.
Some number that's more than I have.
It's some number that's more than likely any of us will ever have.
I don't think they even know how much it costs them between all of the original filmings, the reshoots, and then the re-edits, and then the CGI updates, and then they added scenes that weren't even in the original script 5 years ago.
Right. Yeah,
it was a whole lot of money.
Finance department just said, "This is good. Yeah, this will work. You go ahead."
So much money, but y'all, I have to admit, I'm kind of experiencing a little bit of deja vu, as it were, because I feel like we watched a Justice League movie 4 years ago, starred Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa. Willem Dafoe was not in it. I think that guy who directed all those Avengers movies, Mr. Joss Whedon, I believe he was the director. I believe it was a lot shorter.
So you keep saying all this. I don't know of anything. I've never seen this movie.
I literally haven't seen this movie. So
or maybe you have seen this movie. It depends. Who knows? Who knows what they want us to think about this movie?
Well, somebody want to take a crack at explaining how the heck we came to have a Zack Snyder Justice League movie?
Sure, I can. So back in the years leading up to 2017, Warner Brothers saw all the success that Disney was having with the Marvel's Avengers movies, and they're like, we want that. So first came Man of Steel, which set off, I guess, the quote-unquote DCEU, as we've called the DCU. If you go back and listen to our DC Simber episode, we talked more in depth about the DCU. But yeah, we got Man of Steel, we've got Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, and then they were like, okay, well, we're going to rush everything and just go straight to the Justice League because Marvel is getting ready to do Infinity War stuff, so we need to beat them to the punch and get our big movie out first. So they brought in their bad boy, Zack Snyder, to direct Justice League. And then, unfortunately, his daughter passed away and he had to step away from the project. So instead of, putting it on hold, they were like, well, hey, let's steal that guy from Marvel, Joss Whedon, and get him to finish the movie. Because, we just want to be Marvel, but different. So they hired Joss Whedon to finish.
We want to be we want to be Marvel, but we want to have very low saturation.
Right. So they hired Joss Whedon to finish the film, and it ultimately became something that was much different from Zack Snyder's original intentions for the film. It was not remotely successful. It is generally seen as just a horrible movie.
It's a bad movie, guys.
Yeah, it's a bad movie. Zack Snyder has famously never seen it. And then the internet started doing its thing. It was like, hey, we want to see Zack Snyder's cut of this movie to see if it's better. And then 4 years later, here we are.
4 years and millions upon millions of release the Snyder cut tweets. Which it's really interesting because there was a long period of time where everyone was like, that doesn't actually exist. There's no way that actually exists. And then I think like within the last 2 years, Zack Snyder came out and was like, oh, no, it 100% exists.
Well, sort of.
So there were segments in this movie that weren't in the original, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So did they just film
at least 2 hours?
Did they just film a lot of stuff that they didn't put in the original?
I know a little bit about this. Essentially, when the release the Snyder Cut hashtags are first coming out, there was that idea that, okay, we want, Zack Snyder finished his movie and then he stepped away and Joss Whedon made it, tore it apart, which isn't exactly how it went. But Zack Snyder did film, I think, 95% of what he intended to release. So almost everything you see in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the movie we got, was filmed for Justice League. But it's also really mixed up because this isn't the movie we would have gotten if Zack Snyder didn't step away from the project, because Zack Snyder made a 4-hour movie. What is likely is they would have cut it down to a 2.5 to maybe a 3-hour movie and released that, because it wouldn't have released a 4-hour movie. But
right, but I mean, on a streaming service, you can get away with dropping the 4-hour monster.
So they made a 2-hour movie, and then now he's like, well, now I'm going to make my full 4-hour movie, and also it's been 4 years, and I have new ideas. So I'm going to add other scenes that were never intended in the first place, just because I can. So here we are.
So yeah. Did he get the actors together again to film some of these scenes?
Yeah, I mean, they filmed pickups for a couple things.
Okay.
And then there's an extended sequence at the end that was completely...
Okay, so that was just
the cast was totally on board with redoing this.
Reshoots?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What's that? At least as far as I know, there was no actor that was heavily against it.
Yeah.
Most of them felt, and the other thing that I think is worth noting, there are many different factors that led into this actually happening because there was so much of a cost. One being the pandemic, unfortunately, for better or worse, kind of gave a huge audience online and streaming, more so than there had already been. Another thing, and it's a little bit of a touchy subject, but Joss Whedon's public image has gone down considerably. There have been a number of allegations and lawsuits, and just the popularity of himself is to the point now where I think DC doesn't want to be super associated with Joss Whedon anymore. And this just kind of solves several problems. It's fans wanted this.
Creating so many more.
Yeah. Fans wanted this, and it won't cost as much as completely redoing the Justice League. It'll cost us a lot, but it's not a whole new movie. And we can experiment to see if people like the 4-hour movie on HBO Max. So
yeah, definitely. So getting all of that background information out of the way and just getting our raw, quick thoughts before we,
and answering Tristan's questions.
rip this movie apart.
oh,
What well, I mean, that doesn't have to be bad. We're just gonna
We're digging into it.
we're gonna understand every single ounce of its DNA by the time we're done. So what did we think about the movie?
That long.
What did we think about the movie?
Also, in addition to that question, what did you expect coming into the movie? Because I feel like with this, I think that's also an important question to ask. Like, what kind of expectations did you have coming in?
I can start. I can start with that question because I did not expect a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I knew it was gonna be 4 hours, but I was not expecting a lot. I was expecting like mostly just pointless shots, pointless dialogue. Because I'm sorry, nobody should make a 4-hour movie. 4-hour movies are ridiculous. What the heck? But I was not expecting really anything. And I will say, coming out of it, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. And it really does. It makes considerably more sense than the Whedon version. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna start this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I too did not have huge expectations. I expected it to be better because I think it would have been hard for it to be worse. As far as what we got, in a vacuum, I thought it was good. I have a lot of issues with it, which I will get into here in the next hour or so, however long we end up going with this. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was a good movie. I think it opens up several cans of worms, but it's good.
Yeah.
Goodness. I'll keep it very short, but me and Zack Snyder have a very complicated relationship. Like, I love and hate his movies simultaneously. Like, any movie he's made, there are parts of it that I'm in love with, and there are parts of it that I can't stand, and I just hate. And going into this, I was expecting more of what I normally get with his director's cuts. Like, for instance, Watchmen, the ultimate cut's like 3.5 hours. And there's a really good 2 to 3 hour movie buried underneath all of the filler and the slow-mo and the Zack Snyderisms. So I was expecting that. I was expecting a really good 2 to 3 hour movie buried in a 4-hour movie. I think I got about that. I think overall, as a whole, I like it. It's a million times better than the original Justice League, which honestly was... It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but I've never been more angry walking out of a movie theater. We can get into the specifics of that later, but it just felt like the movie was designed to be a complete backstab to the entire universe in which it inhabits. But so
tell us how you really feel, Mike.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But anyway, the question being, how did we feel about this movie? I was expecting that. I was expecting a 2 to 3 hour movie within a 4-hour movie that's good and a lot of fluff, and I got that. So, expectations met.
Well, if I might paint you a narrative for my own expectations, I suppose I didn't see the original movie at all because all my friends saw it before me and told me how bad it was and how I shouldn't see it. And I was like, well, I didn't really even want to see it anyway. Now I definitely am not going to see this movie. So I got to that point and just kind of never saw it. I was fine with that. I'm not like a huge superhero movie fan. I follow Marvel because everyone does, and I enjoy them just as much as the next guy. But I'm not like a super fan or of anything. But Zack Snyder, I like Watchmen. I don't know Zack Snyder very well or his works super well. I know he did 300. I know like a few of his movies, but like Watchmen is the one that I know very well by Zack Snyder. And I love Watchmen. Even the 3.5 hour cut, the director's cut, I like it a lot. and I think it's great. And I really like Zack Snyder when he slows down things and plays like a folk song over it, like the beginning of Watchmen. I like that. I like that part a lot. I think it's cool. And when I saw the trailer for the Snyder cut, it was that. It was, it was slow motion shots of the superheroes and like folk song or some dramatic song playing over it that didn't quite fit, but kind of like Nick Cage, or like, I don't know, like not Nick Cage, Nick Cave, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, or like Bob Dylan or something. Throw that in there. You got in slow motion. You got a Snyder. What did I call it before?
The Zack Snyder effect.
The Zack Snyder effect. Yeah, there you go. But my expectation going in was like, I'm going to see a lot of that, and I think I did see a lot of that. And yeah, overall, it was my expectations were that, and they met my expectations, and then actually exceeded them, which was wholly unexpected for me, because when I see a superhero movie, I'm like, cool, they were super and heroes, and they, of course, they won. They always win, which of course they did win. They always do. I guess they didn't in Infinity War, but they did in the next movie, because they always do.
Right.
So anyway,
for that movie,
they don't win in Watchmen, though.
They don't.
Spoilers for Watchmen too. We're all over the place.
Well, I like it.
Spoilers for a. How old is that graphic novel? How old is that movie?
The movie's 11 years old.
Right. I think people are fine.
Hope you
if
knew
you
they
haven't seen Watchmen, I don't care.
Well, whatever. Anyway.
Well, speaking of spoilers, I cannot talk tonight.
Spoilery dudes.
Yeah. Speaking of those, I think it's safe to say at this point, moving forward, if you haven't seen it, cut off the podcast. And
you might want to bail out right now, because things about to get real. Yeah. All right,
we'll give you a second.
Right.
One Mississippi.
5, 4,
no, I didn't want. Okay,
about to
2,
get
1.
real.
All right, let's go.
Right.
Okay.
Let's do it. If you're still listening, you're in for the long haul.
Okay.
All
this movie should because there's a lot of talk about the fact that we need a sequel to the Snyder Cut. Here's my thing. If Zack Snyder actually intended to make a sequel to the Snyder Cut, he would have ended the movie when it looks like the Justice League has lost.
Mm-hmm.
He would have ended the movie right then and right there. And he didn't. So
no, the good guys had to win.
The good guys had to win. And I'm not mad about that. What I'm mad about is, and Mike brought this up before we started talking, and so did Ben, it's highly, highly unlikely that we are ever going to get a second movie in this franchise.
I would bet money that we will never get.
It is next to impossible. It is next to impossible to get all these people to come back and do another movie.
I mean, it's not even that. Like, I've got a couple quotes from an interview that Zack Snyder did recently with Collider. The first one says, Warner Brothers told me when I started this process that they consider the theatrical cut as canon to their DC universe, and that they want to build out, and that my version will always be like this outworld non-canon version.
Yeah. So
that's from the horse's mouth. Like, it's not happening.
So I want to get that out there before we start analyzing this movie, is that if Zack Snyder actually wanted to make a sequel to this movie, and he actually wanted to get enough fan uproar behind a sequel of this movie, he would have ended it right when they lose. I
also do want to add in one more quote that he said. He also said that he really doesn't have much desire in making another comic book movie.
Yeah.
So even if there is a sequel, it may not be Snyder directing it, which I think would be a mistake.
I mean, to be fair, Tristan, I'm going to get to you in just a second. To be fair, Zack Snyder is no stranger to comic book movies, because he did do Watchmen, but also 300's based on comics. So, I mean.
And then Man of Steel and Batman v Superman.
Yeah, Man of Steel. I think, okay, hear me out, because people are saying that this is the end of the Snyder trilogy, or the Snyder verse. I believe that Zack Snyder wanted to make Man of Steel, and then Warner Brothers was like, "You want to come back? You want to come dance a little with us? You can make some sequels. You can have some crossovers." And Zach
And
was
then
like,
you never even got Man of
okay.
Steel 2.
And then you
You
never
know,
got Man of Steel 2. Yeah, Tristan.
I bet somehow it'll still happen. It'll still happen somehow.
What? A sequel to this or Man of Steel 2?
No, a Zack Snyder, maybe a sequel, something Zack Snyder does in relation to this. I bet it'll still happen.
I want to build on that because I think Tristan's right in a way.
Maybe a few years, maybe 10 years. I don't know. It'll still happen sometime.
The thing that I'm gonna choose my words carefully. The thing that pisses me off about this film and what colors it negatively to me is there is still studio interference. Studio interference has been part and parcel of the DCEU. Every time they've ever released a movie, they've clearly messed with it. They're terrified. They want to catch up to Marvel. They don't know what they're doing. They didn't want to spend time building out their universe, and then they messed up, and then they released a movie that was by all means terrible. They don't know what they want, and they keep fiddling with it, and they won't let anything play out. So when they made this, they very clearly, and there was a spoiler alert for if anyone's here that hasn't heeded that, leave now, right now. Okay.
No. We gave you your warning. Continue. Yeah,
I know, just in case. But point being, everything in the epilogue of this film, all of it was clearly filmed with this tongue-in-cheek, like wink and nod to the fans saying, hey, if you blow this up, we might actually make more of the Snydery stuff. So they could have done two things. They could have made this just a one-off, just Zack Snyder's cut, original intent, original vision, cool. Or they could have made this the reboot, and this would have been the new canon. But they wanted both, and I hate that. It is not both. They are doing this thing where they've made a movie, and they're like, it's a one-off, but maybe it's not. And I think that just completely trashes it. So how am I supposed to view it? Is this supposed to be a one-off that I can enjoy, or is this a reboot? Why is it both, and why is it clearly dependent on whether or not people like it? I hate that.
See, you say all this. I don't think it's either one. Like, I think solely in and of itself, this film does not matter to anything because at this point in time, at least, DC still has their slate of movies planned. They still have Flashpoint with Ezra Miller and Ben Affleck coming. Yeah, like there's still Aquaman 2 coming at some point. Like they still have their DCEU planned out. They're not going to throw out this movie in the middle and insert the Zack Snyder one.
I really do think they would because they're doing that with Joker and they're doing that with the Batman. They're doing these offshoots. I think the Snyderverse
which are not connected to the DC
will be. Yeah, it wouldn't be connected directly, but the problem is, why would you give a man like the money to Zack Snyder? They gave him money to film a scene setting up a sequel that doesn't exist. You only do that. They're a business. The only reason you would ever do that is if you thought it might pay off and you might be able to build out this tangential branch of the DC, you know? Like, so I hate that. I hate just make your movie. Just let Zack Snyder make his movie, have it be a one-off, have it be a last hurrah, or be like, this is the launch of a tangential Snyderverse. It's not the main plot, but it is its own thing. But I don't like.
But then you get into the issue of trying to run two simultaneous timelines using the same actors, and it would just end up being a colossal mess.
Man, I agree. I'm just saying, the way I read the movie is that I think that that's what they wanted to be open to, because of the fact that they spent millions of dollars shooting a scene, setting up a sequel that never existed in the original. Tristan has been wanting to say something. Please say.
DC's been doing that forever with Batman specifically. You get a new Batman every few years. I mean, it's like there's no continuity. The only continuity that has happened was they made Superman, and then they made did the Dark Knight come the year? Dark Knight Rises came out a year later, right?
I think so, but it's not connected.
That's
to anything.
I know it's not. But like they just said, we're going to take Man of Steel, and that's where we're going to start. Even though we made another DC movie after that. I mean,
I don't think Nolan or Christian Bale really had much interest in being part of the DC.
No, but it's still a DC movie. It's still Batman. It's still DC. So anyway, I don't remember what I was going to say otherwise, but that came about.
I don't know.
It just colors the way I view this film.
That's fair.
It's just too, and I'm trying to think of the polite term, but it's too weak. It won't commit to being one or the other. And I know, Ben, you kind of see like, oh, that'd be a terrible idea. I agree. It'd be a terrible idea. But again, the way I see the film is they did that. They were weak and they wanted to have their cake and eat it too and be like, well, maybe, but who knows? But maybe, I don't know.
I'll say this is the movie that we should have gotten 4 years ago. And if it had come out 4 years ago, I would have liked it a whole lot more.
What
But
you
it
have?
didn't.
But we
Because
wouldn't have gotten this specific
I'm
movie.
just-
I mean, that's
Yeah.
fair. We would have gotten something closer to this, though.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna level with you because my opinion on this is, or my immediate reaction after watching the Snyder cut is about the same as it was when I watched the Whedon cut, which is I walked out and I was like, okay, that was fine. I don't want to watch it again.
This is infinitely better than the Whedon cut, but
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, it is. I just have zero desire to watch it again.
Yeah.
Well,
Honestly, I felt
fair.
that way about a lot of the DC EU movies. I don't think they have a lot of rewatchability.
yeah.
That's fair.
But anyway, the point that I was kind of building to with all of this, what I think we should have gotten with this coming out so much later after it was originally planned. I mean, honestly, I think we should have gotten just a one-off movie, something similar to what Superman Returns was, because Superman Returns is an alternative sequel to Superman 2 that happens in an alternate universe that is its own movie. It has no sequel. It doesn't need one. But this movie spends half of its 4-hour runtime setting up for a sequel that personally I don't think is ever going to come.
I
And
agree.
It drives me insane.
Yeah.
I also think that in the last 4 years since this movie came out, DC has started to find its feet in movies that it's really good at making. Like Joker is really good. I know that Mike and Tristen hate it, but Aquaman is really good. Shazam is really good. And like all of those are kind of existing in their own bubbles. I know Joker's its own thing. And I think I think Matt Reeves as the Batman is going to be really good, and it's just going to be its own thing. But like, it's almost like wanting a sequel to this movie is wanting a DC that we don't have anymore. It's wanting a DCU that we no longer are really striving towards. Now, I will say, Wonder Woman 84 throws a wrench in my theory because. Well, Wonder Woman 84 is just a terrible movie from start to finish. But
Fair.
Go on, Ben.
I'm going to agree and disagree with you kind of at the same time. We do have a good DC universe. It's the DC animated universe
Okay.
that tells the story of Darkseid, but does it well.
but that's
Okay.
that's not for a mainstream audience, though.
It can be, though.
It
Like,
can
those
be.
are genuinely good movies.
It
If you
can
go
be.
and watch them, it is a good story.
Look, I'm not debating that. I'm not
It's
debating.
produced well. And I think if DC had put more time and money into promoting those, they would have done a whole lot better. But instead, most of them you just have to go find on HBO Max somewhere.
I'm just gonna throw this one out there
Okay.
because I totally agree with you. Because you and I both know I agree with you in that the DC animated universe is fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah.
Here's my whole thing though. That's the third time this weekend someone said we have a good DC universe and it's the DC animated universe. You're absolutely right. But stop talking about that because you know that's not what I'm talking about. You know darn good and well that's not what I'm talking about.
The thing is, and to build on Doug's point, and it builds on that. It's they really want to have their cake and eat it too with it. You got Wonder Woman 84, which is like we're still continuing the DCEU on the own thing. Like you have Aquaman, which is still taking place in the universe, and it could tie in like any other Marvel movie. Shazam is Shazam. The Joker exists in its own universe, but they're doing the thing where it's like certain movies are like it's on its own, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe we could tie it in, but we're not. They're scared. They are
I'd say
petrified.
we're also getting into Flashpoint here in a couple of years because that's been confirmed. That's what the Flash movie is going to be, which is all about like parallel universes and like it's just going to be a bunch of hey, look, it's all connected. Woo!
Shouldn't we have had a Flash movie before rebooting everything? Shouldn't we have had a Cyborg movie?
Yes.
Are you going to make a connected universe, or are you going to make a bunch of not connected, like separated movies? Pick
Yes.
one. Goodness, I can't keep
They
up.
picked both.
I hate that. And I feel like this movie picked both, which is why like I like that's what frustrates me about it because Aquaman at least picked, Wonder Woman 84 picked, Joker picked, at least, within like a meta commentary that like they haven't picked, but within the films they have, this film hasn't picked for itself. What are you? Like, what are you even?
It's the Avengers, but without all the context.
I just hate the question marks over everything.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I can't stand it. Anyway, maybe we should talk about the actual film.
Yeah. I was about to say I feel like we've talked a lot about the context of this film, but let's actually dive in a little bit more. Like actually looking at the film itself, what did y'all like? What did y'all not like?
So I just want to bring up really my biggest problem with the movie, and it's not the problem that y'all think. It's not. My biggest problem with this movie is the problem that I had with the Whedon movie the second time I watched it, because I think that there are really good elements in this cast. I think there's really good elements. I think that Ray Fisher 100% had a right to be angry because none of his story is in the Whedon cut, and it's a really good story. I think that they still are trying to figure out how to write Wonder Woman consistently, because good Lord, she is the most inconsistent character across all these movies. And I don't blame Gal Gadot for that. I blame the
at
writers.
least we didn't get the Flash falling onto Wonder Woman's boobs this time.
Okay. I like
It happened in
Batfleck.
the Whedon cut.
I like Batfleck. I've always liked Batfleck. And I love Jason Momoa as Aquaman. And this is my thing. I really like Ezra Miller as the Flash, but good Lord, they do not know when to tell Ezra Miller to shut up.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
So many quips. And like,
that's
not
Barry Allen,
great
though.
quips.
But
Like, not
Barry
good
Allen.
quips. There are better quips from Barry Allen.
Not always.
At least the brunch line is not in this. There were
less quips in this movie than I expected. And that's a big plus for me, because
I agree.
I watch a superhero movie and I just cringe right in outer space at how many times the superheroes have to stop and say something cringeworthy. I'm like, okay,
we didn't get Superman coming up and saying, "I'm a fan of truth."
Yeah, the only person really delivered quips was the Flash in this movie. And then, of course, you got Jason Momoa being dark and mysterious every now and then. And it's like, if you both can just and then we'll have a perfect superhero time, but they weren't that bad. I didn't feel like that was, abrasive in this movie as much as I've seen it before, or as much as I even expected it to be.
I would agree with that.
I just think he's really good in small doses, and I don't think that they have him in small doses. I think he's really good, and I think he's a really good Flash.
Yeah.
Is there such thing as a small dose in a 4-hour movie?
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Also, why in the Sam Hill is this movie 4 hours long?
There are very few movies that are in a 4-hour length. And I wish they'd actually cut it up into the miniseries that they were talking about doing it, because
now that would have been fine.
Yeah, because you would understand you consume that content in portions, but when you make a feature-length film, you're supposed to be able to see it in one sitting. Don't make your movies so long nobody could physically sit through. Did any of you sit through it in one sitting?
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
I did.
I took 4 30-minute breaks. I just couldn't. I'm impressed that you did, Doug, because it's too much. I one of my favorite movies is, or at least was Gone with the Wind, and that's almost 4 hours. And even then, it barely earns it. Like barely. This didn't earn it. Not even close.
Even with that movie, you have an intermission.
Yeah, and that one's
like the movie puts a physical intermission in it.
This movie gives you intermissions. Like it is broken up into different parts. There are logical places where you can be like, okay, I've made it to this point. I'm going to pause and go do something.
Yeah. I wish they had actually split it up into episodes and
they're
supposed to be doing it in chunks like a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this, and like I said, there's a great movie in here. There's a movie that's about 2.5 to 3 hours long. It's awesome. There's a lot that could have been left out. There's a lot of really not been in there.
There's a really great Cyborg movie in here.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like
in a Cyborg movie.
Ray Fisher
Absolutely.
hits it out the park.
Yeah.
Ray Fisher was hands down my favorite part of this entire movie.
Easily my favorite part. Yeah, like it's really funny just how disinterested I became when he wasn't on screen. Yeah, no, he's so good in this movie. Okay, there is one other thing I kind of want to talk about. Because I thought about this, and this is a casting thing, but I thought about it last night as I was watching. The first time I watched the Joss Whedon Justice League, I liked Henry Cavill in that. But to be fair, I didn't. Hold on, don't give me that look. Don't give me that look. I liked him. It was 4 years ago. I liked him in that movie. And then I watched it again. I was like, no, I still like that. This is the first time I've seen Henry Cavill as Superman in a DC movie. And every time he's on screen, I'm like, okay, I like him. I like him as Superman. I think that's more of a me thing than the movie thing. But what is a movie thing is the fact that they brought Lois Lane back to her like awesomeness tier. Because that was one thing that Zack Snyder did really well in Man of Steel is he made a tremendous Lois Lane in Amy Adams. Like, she's so good in that movie. And she kind of was relegated to the more classic, like, damsel in distress Lois Lane in, what is that, Batman v Superman? And the Joss Whedon cut, even though she's only in there for, like, 3 seconds. But here, I felt like Lois was back. I felt like Lois was back, and she was doing her thing. She was strong. She was powerful. She was a good character, so I really did appreciate the fact that she was back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like we got a whole lot of Lois in this, but what was in there wasn't insulting. Like, the Whedon cut just managed to, especially and particularly the female characters, just be insulting and sideline and just diminish in every way, shape, and form. It was awkward and not great, but
so I will say that is one thing that I very much appreciated with this. The female characters were not made just the butts of jokes.
Yeah. And I said before, you know, they cannot figure out how to write Wonder Woman because one movie she's great, one movie she's not.
I was watching a clip of, sorry to interrupt, but I was watching a clip of Wonder Woman 1984 today where she's like struggling to push a car, and then in this movie she explodes a man because she can't.
That's contextual.
Yeah,
that's contextual.
But still, like,
no, it
is directly contextual based on something that happens in Wonder Woman 1984.
I could pick a different example if you'd like, but Wonder Woman's powers are incredibly inconsistent, regardless of the context in certain scenes, even between BVS and here, where she doesn't have whatever contextual thing is. There's no consistency with Wonder Woman, and that frustrates me.
That's because they don't know how to write her.
I'm just going more with her dialogue and overall character. But no, I mean, I hate the fact that in the original Wonder Woman, I think she's written the best that she had ever been written at that point. And then was the next Whedon's Justice League, and she's horrible. And here, she's a lot better. I don't think she's like to the level that she was in her first movie, but she's a lot
doesn't
better.
give her anything. Yeah.
All you guys are saying this about the original movie, and I'm really glad I didn't see it now.
Oh, honestly, it's not worth watching. It's really not.
I don't know. I think you should watch it. I really do think you should watch it.
I don't.
I mean, there's no reason to. It's not good.
If I want to watch this movie again, I'll watch the one I just saw.
Why would you watch another 4-hour movie? Like, even if it is the better version, why would you watch another 4-hour movie?
Find a way to watch it on like 2x speed, and you'll be fine.
I mean, I got to the point. I saw, what was it? Silence by Scorsese.
Yep.
Yeah, and I saw that when it came out, which was like 2015 or something. I don't remember. And I'm to the point now, I'm to the point where I'll watch that movie again. It was a heckin' long movie, but it was great. But like, I'll watch it again now. You know, took me a while.
Well, while we're on the topic of Justice League, of course. There's not a good place to work this in, so I'm just going to work it in here. Every time, since we're talking about Wonder Woman, do we have to have weird ancient chants every time she moves a muscle?
It's so weird. It was so weird. It was so weird. And I'll admit, like in the original version, every time she's on screen, they do her sing that like
At
which
least that's cool.
doesn't fit all of your context. It's cool, but it doesn't fit all your context. But here we get like it literally says, what is it? Ancient
Lamentations.
Ancient Lamentations.
Where does it say that?
In the subtitles.
Oh.
Yeah. It was awful.
Subtitles,
It was genuinely, I got sick of it in the first scene that she's in, and that's 15 minutes into the movie.
Seriously.
I wish they had just left it on that first scene, but it is literally every time she is on screen.
Every time she's on screen.
It's
you
terrible.
get Ancient Lamentations.
That killed me, and then another sound effect, because my two biggest issues with the movie, I think, are these sound effects. When Superman dies in the very, very beginning of the movie, there are these
and you just
rings,
get
and it's like, whoa,
whoa,
yeah,
whoa.
and it goes on for 10 minutes.
But you hear different woes in different parts of the world.
Which I mean,
I hated it.
I listened to a review of the movie actually after I finished watching this movie this morning. And the person pointed out, he was like, well, I mean, it kind of makes sense that you would start there, even though it goes on for 10 minutes, because Snyder started Batman v Superman with the end of Man of Steel, so it kind of makes sense that he would start Justice League with the end of Batman v Superman. I was like, fair point. However, do I have to hear like on repeat for the first 10 minutes of the movie? Because I could really do without that.
Because everything takes its sweet time. And like, that's the thing about this movie, is there's not a lot you could cut out, but there's so much you could have made shorter.
Right.
Like every scene is good. It's just, it takes too dang long to get through this scene, because every 5 seconds we're going slow-mo on some hot dogs.
Again, talking about Wonder Woman. So her introduction in the movie, we have that bank scene. And I read somewhere they were like,
didn't need to be there.
I read somewhere where they were like, yeah, I mean, it's much better than the Whedon cut. I was like, yes, it does look better than the Whedon cut, and I do like the fact that she like vaporizes a man. However, could we not have every shot be a slow-mo shot, thus making a 1 minute scene into a 12-minute scene?
I'll do you one better. The entire reason that those people were in the bank was to blow stuff up. So what does she do? She kills all of them and blows stuff up. It's just
also, a point that I was watching this. It was someone who's pointing this out, and she can do this thing, and it blows up the universe. Why does she only do that contextually? Like, you could do that all the time. There's not a recharge.
You know what I think it is?
Or do it twice in a row.
Mike, you know what I think it is?
What?
I think it's because every time she does it, she hears the Ancient Lamentations.
But she hears it anyway.
And she doesn't even want to hear them. She doesn't even want to hear them.
There's so many scenes in the movie, though, where she's just like paused or like trying to deflect. I'm like, do this. This is OP. This just kills everything. Yeah. Just do the thing.
I mean, it's the same reason Superman doesn't show up until the very end of the fight,
and
because it's just completely overpowered.
But they knew that in the movie. Like I think Darkseid or whatever was saying, like Darkseid was saying like, no Kryptonians on this planet, because if there were, you lose. Like,
right? Yeah.
I do want to point this out, because I think we all talk crap about DC all the time. But let's give them this, where Marvel keeps going back and forth on who is the most powerful character in their universe. DC, it's set. Like, Superman is OP as
his head and shoulders stronger than anybody else in the universe.
Which, I mean, and that's not just the film universe. Like, I mean, there have been several comic book storylines, namely Injustice, where Superman just snaps and then kills everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, even in this universe, he does, apparently.
Well, not this universe, in the Nightmare universe.
Right, which is what they're trying to stop from happening.
Yeah.
Even though from the leaked storyboards, apparently it does happen at least at some point.
In the Nightmare universe, compared to the the real universe, I guess maybe not the Snyderverse,
the Daydream verse.
yes, he has a black suit in the Snyder one, but he has this original in the Dreamverse.
Well,
so what happened
in the Joss Whedon version? He has the red and blue suit. The
This
entire
is
time.
not.
Why did he have the black suit?
You want to know something, Tristan?
Because it
Yeah.
looks cool.
Doesn't matter.
Is it because he came back to life?
Tristan?
No, it's because he
matter.
looks cool.
Oh,
it does not matter.
Unless they
what
wanted to, because we can't. This is. I'm tired of universes at this point. Like I can barely keep up with Marvel, and now that Marvel's looking like they're gonna do multiverse stuff, and it's like, just pick what you're gonna do. Are you a sequel or are you not? I just maybe it's just because I'm getting older. And I don't want to keep up anymore. But it's like stop.
Yeah. No, I mean I get that.
Stop this madness. Anyway, yeah, and while we're talking about it, yeah, that's the Nightmare thing that like I was watching it with some other friends, and like they got so excited because they're like, oh, it's setting up Injustice, it's setting up the evil Superman arc that's like in the comics, and I'm like, but are they gonna do it? Are they not gonna do it? What's gonna happen? And that's why I hated that scene so much, because it had nothing to do with Justice League whatsoever. It was just in there. It was just in there.
It was set up for Justice League 2.
Yeah, and which may or may not have it. And like the Martian dude, like who the heck is?
Okay, hold up.
Martian dude.
Hold up. Okay, his name is John Johns. He is called the Martian Manhunter. Do not disrespect him because he is amazing. When he showed up on screen, I lost.
No, I'm with Mikey. I will.
No. Shut up. Because Martian Manhunter showed up in this movie, and I lost my freaking mind.
I'm sure you
But
did.
he didn't do anything except take all
I don't
the
care
emotion.
that he didn't do
except
anything.
take
He
all
showed
of
up in the
emotion
movie.
out of the scene between Lois Lane and Martha Kent because it wasn't actually Martha Kent.
Okay.
Not care.
Doug, if I'm someone, which I am, who doesn't read the comics, which I don't, and
You
who
ain't
doesn't
have to read
understand
the
the
freaking
characters,
comics.
which I don't, then Doug, I don't know who this character is. He just pops in, and everyone's expected me to freak out or get it. I'm like, cool, a new guy, I guess, but like, why is he here? What's
They're
the
fine,
point?
but
I
don't
don't
tell
know
me
who
that.
he is. There's
Don't
no
tell me that he's not
explanation.
important just because you don't know who he is. Because
Never
he
did I
is
say
important.
he's not
This is why the epilogue is terrible, because you have the movie called Justice League, and you end it with a character you've just met flying away.
A character
It has
you've
nothing
just
to
met.
do with Justice League.
I know him.
But you've
You've
It
just
doesn't
met.
matter that you know him.
He's
It doesn't
not in the
matter.
movie. Yeah, exactly. There's no context to this.
The
character.
movie shouldn't end.
Well, technically speaking, he was in Man of Steel. Because he is played by the General in Man of Steel. Look, here's the
I
thing.
would have
Ending
appreciated
of
more if
Justice
he
League.
actually shows up and does something in the final.
I would have too. I would have loved it. But you want to know something? The fact that John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, showed up on screen, I'll admit, looking terrible,
All the
made
CG in
my
this movie
day.
look bad.
and made me freak out. Also, can we please talk about the CG in this movie?
It was bad.
Okay, yeah, it does look bad.
Yeah,
And
bother me.
people are talking about how much better it looks than 2017. And I'm like, yes, because that's how CG usually works. It
Mhm.
looks better in the moment. And then in about a year, it will not
looks
look
bad.
as good.
I
What
don't want
about-
to entirely fault them on this just because of the nature of how the movie was made, but it did look bad. Like Jesse Eisenberg in the water in the beginning, I was dying. That was the funniest thing I've seen. I could have
Oh,
done
yeah, that-
better in
that
Premiere
did
in
look-
2
That
seconds.
looked like Beowulf.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't something that like completely took me out of it, but like it wasn't good.
It was not good.
Didn't Henry Cavill have a mustache or something? Wasn't that,
That
a
was
big
a
thing?
Whedon thing. That was a Whedon thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's not this.
but
Because
wait,
Whedon did
Yeah.
reshoots, and he had to CGI Cavill's mustache off. When most of what Zach is using, Cavill didn't have a mustache, and what he did need to reshoot, Cavill didn't have a mustache.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so that's totally a Whedon issue,
okay, gotcha.
which you can tell.
It's hard to even say what's good about this movie because it's kind of implicit to it. Like everything's so much better, especially in comparison to the Whedon version. Like Cyborg is a really good character.
So good.
There's a lot of great emotion there. The Flash is much better. Flash reversing time at the end was like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
I just want to point
so
out.
much better in this movie.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, I did talk crap about Ezra Miller, but I talk crap about the fact that Ezra Miller's quips are annoying as frick and they don't know when to tell him to shut up. Everything else is great. Everything else with him is fantastic.
I'd say Batfleck was much better in this movie than the 2017 one because he's not spending half the movie telling jokes.
Or complaining to Wonder Woman that he doesn't know how to be a good leader.
Yeah.
Or like egging her on and making fun of her.
Yeah.
Or her dead boyfriend.
Yeah.
Superman is a lot better because he doesn't ask Batman, "Do you bleed?"
He doesn't change. He's actually
No, he just straight up tries to kill him. And I
Right,
know
right.
he wasn't going to, but I really want it. I was like, I know I've just watched The Boys a lot. And I would be really down to just see like Superman go full Homelander and just like annihilate the Justice League right now. I know I wasn't going to get that, but man, it would have been funny.
I agree.
This movie made me like Superman more. I don't know about you
I
guys.
agree.
But that's the Superman character that's been Zack Snyder's biggest strength. That is Superman. That is Zack Snyder's Superman. Yes, I will fight you on that. Because this is the character all along, and it's a good Superman. It's
the one from Man of Steel. Yeah.
This is that character.
Yeah, it is. What's your problem, Doug?
All day
What's your
long.
deal?
He's not
Doug
good in
doesn't
Man,
like Man of Steel.
I do not like Man of Steel. I do not like him in Man of Steel.
How is he not good in Man of Steel?
Oh, maybe because he's not playing Superman. He's playing Jesus.
Anyway, this is not a Man of Steel review.
But if it was, you'd be wrong.
No.
Okay, well.
No. Hey, speaking of things that Mike thinks I'm wrong about, but actually he's wrong about, I just want to say this one thing. I do not want discussion on this. I just want to say that I had an issue with it. I don't care that it was the artist's vision. I do not care that, we got a warning about it at the beginning. I don't understand why in the Sam Hill this movie is shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio. And I know that I should not have watched this movie on my phone, but I did. Because that's what I had to do.
What the
So
heck?
I hate the fact. Shut up, Mike. Shut up.
I didn't say anything.
One of the things I've seen, things I've done.
I saw this movie on a phone.
That I literally on this phone, I had like this much space to watch this movie.
Literally that much.
And I know that's on me. Not looking for a discussion.
Then why are you complaining?
Not looking for a discussion.
Why are you complaining if it's your fault?
It's not my fault that the things have freaking 4:3 aspect ratio.
Oh boy.
It's not
Mikey.
my fault that Zack Snyder made a movie that could be just as easily streamed on Facebook Watch than it is on a movie screen. Than it is in a movie theater.
You just don't get how 4:3 works. You just don't get it.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, for those of you who are watching,
Your discussion, Mike.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people. You're a lost cause. I'm not dealing with you. Listen. The movie, you're not getting less movie. People are looking at the film and they're seeing black bars on the left and the right, and they're thinking they're getting less movie. They're getting more movie. The movie was shot in 4:3 and is later cropped into Academy aspect ratio to be shown in theaters. You're getting less movie by watching it in widescreen. And if these bars bother you so much, if you're a normal human watching it on a television set, you can go to your settings and expand the film and be watching it cropped and still be getting more footage because your screen is 16:9 than you would if you actually watched it in the Academy aspect ratio in widescreen. You're getting more movie, not less movie.
Look, Magic
Sure,
Man.
call it Facebook Live because squares are scary.
I don't want to know your magic techniques. I just like my movie big and square.
They just
I like my movie
I like my
to
movie
reach
stretched.
one end of the screen to the other, Mike.
You just blow it up, and then the top and bottom that's so scary goes away, and now you have the full frame, and it's so lovely. Okay.
Oh, wow.
You got more movie, and you're complaining that you got more movie, and you're wrong about it. So,
Look, I said this is a good movie. I said we were going to get down into the DNA of this film.
That is the DNA of this film,
And I
apparently.
hate to break it to you, Mike, but I don't get why in the Sam Hill you have a freaking 4-3 aspect ratio on this.
you're the one that watched the movie.
He just told
I don't
you.
want to hear it.
Mike, yes, I am the one who watched the movie on my phone.
Anyway, that's how I feel about aspect ratios.
Wow.
Good.
Oh, geez.
Boxes are scary. Anyway,
Well, there's also the Snyder effect, as I mentioned
Okay,
before.
what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you
I'm going to
mean?
need you to explain that to
Hold
me.
on. Okay, for those of you who are watching, okay, so Tristen texted us and he was like, I want to talk about the Snyder effect. And we all were like, what the heck are you talking about? So please elaborate. What is the Snyder effect?
No, it's just, I mean, for me, it's not a term. It's not like it doesn't exist. I didn't take it from somewhere. I was mainly joking with my buddies. But the Snyder effect, as I believe it to be, is just, like I said earlier, slowing things down and adding in dramatic music or music that is semi-folky / slow. I'm referencing The Watchmen because that's the Zack Snyder movie I know the best. But it happens in that movie and it happens in this movie too. That's what I mean. That's it. That's all. Sorry, didn't mean to cause any.
Well, it's one of the reasons that this movie is as long as it is.
yeah.
And,
Yeah. And I like that
Zack-
part.
Zach, I know that you love long takes and slow-mo, but good Lord, man. Fast forward.
Pick your favorite 20. Don't keep all 200 you shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been more okay with it if it wasn't like every single scene.
Yeah.
But like, especially like every time Ezra Miller was on screen as the Flash, there was at least like 5 times where it was just slow mo.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm good. I get the point. He runs fast, and we see that. Like,
Yeah. Also,
and yes,
for a
I'm
guy
aware
who's
that's an
fast-
oversimplification. Blah blah blah. The meme.
Fast.
Yeah, for a guy who's fast, we see him in slow mo. We don't see him moving normal in the world in slow mo. We see him in
Weird.
slow mo.
Which is so weird.
That's how like all modern media, I feel like, does.
Super speed.
Yeah, super speed now. Because like if you look at how the X-Men movies did Quicksilver, it was exactly like that.
But he's
In
moving
first
mostly
class.
in normal speed.
No.
And
No.
the world is moving in
They-
slow mo.
Quicksilver happened. What is it? Brad Ratner or Brian?
Brian Singer.
Brian Singer. Thank you. Brian Singer did Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, and then everybody else was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I believe I will have some of that."
Yeah.
Um,
So like I know that they do that a lot in the Flash CW TV show as well.
Hmm.
I don't know if any of y'all watch that ever.
nah,
No, sir.
You're not missing much.
yeah.
It's hard to talk about the good things about this movie because they're just there and they're good.
Right. Right.
I just
But
wanted
it
to
is-
point that out for anyone watching this and being like, man, they're just talking about how much I don't like it. It's a good movie. It's just
Right.
I think
what's-
we all do like the movie. It's
Mhm.
just,
The circumstances around the movie bring it down for us.
yeah, and a 4-3 aspect ratio.
Well,
and
that's
the
only
4-hour cut.
Yeah.
And the epilogue, just cleave it off, let it go. It's gone. Just
Yeah.
there it goes.
Yeah,
Okay.
also-
That's like 20 minutes.
Also, for it's 37. I clocked it.
The
for,
epilogue is 37 minutes.
It's 37 minutes.
That's because it's like 5 post-credit scenes.
And for any aspiring filmmakers out there,
Don't
if
do
you get
that.
to the end of your story and you realize that you have another 37 minutes worth of film that you want to use as an epilogue, don't use it. Maybe
Not
pick
Return to the
5.
King.
Maybe pick
You're-
5.
You're just not Return to the King.
There is one Return of the King, and you are not it.
And even that, I don't think is 35 minutes. It's more like 20.
Yeah. Oh man. I really do hate bashing this movie so much because I do think we all liked it.
Yeah. Like
It's just too much. It's too
Yes.
much. It's a buffet where someone shoved too much food down my throat. Like,
Yeah,
it was good food, but I had too much of it. Like,
yeah.
it hurts.
All right, folks, I have to hop off because I miscalculated my time.
Jeez.
But I will let you know my score, and you guys, I'm sure, will do great on your own.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Tristan. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right, now
All right,
let's
well-
talk about the movie that we were actually going to talk about.
Yeah, so you think all the stuff we've been talking about has been the Snyder Cut? Well, that's actually wrong. All it was just the 2017 cut of Justice League. But Zack Snyder appeared on screen like every 5 seconds or so and said, "Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's
genius.
wrong." Yeah, it was great. I loved it. 100 out of 100 on our scale.
I know he
Oh.
just, yeah. I know
Tristan,
he
I
just
usually,
out.
not even Tristan, Ben, I usually follow your bits
Mhm.
and your cutaway jokes, but you lost me
that
on
one-
that one, buddy.
Oh,
You
come
lost me
on.
on that one.
I was proud of that one.
Okay.
Anyway, y'all ready to score this?
I actually
Yeah.
don't have anything else to say. Like,
Okay.
like
Let's
he
score this
honestly
thing.
could have stayed on for 2 more minutes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate,
fine.
but yeah.
He had some sort of meeting at 8:30,
Yeah,
so
no,
whatever.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
man.
Well, let's score this. If you're watching at home, if you've words, if you've never listened to us before, it's a pretty simple scale, 1 to 100. You can kind of think of it like an American grade scale. 100 means it's flawless, it's a perfect movie, and a 1 means it's a steaming pile of turds. So yeah, who wants to go first?
I can do it.
Okay. Well,
I'm
we
gonna-
eagerly await Tristan's score
Yeah.
too.
I get that you said it was a grade score, but I'm just thinking out of it 1 to 100 outside of the
Mhm.
grade score because I have been
That's
so
fine.
torn between a 6 and a 7 out of 10, so a 60 to 70, because there's a lot in here that's really good. There is more artistic integrity. Hot take, don't fight me on this because I don't know if we have time. There's more artistic integrity in this movie than 80% of Marvel films.
No,
Like,
that's fair.
There's so much unique creative value in this. And so I don't want to be too mean to it because I want more of this. This, even though it's worse than maybe watching some Marvel films, is so much more valuable in a way to me. Like, I hold more value to it because at least it's trying something new with the medium that has gotten beaten to death with the same corporate mentality over and over again. At the same time, I have problems with this movie. There's a whole 35 minutes I don't think should exist. So I can't be that nice to it at the same time. So 67 is what I'm
67.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that, Mike, because I'm also giving it a 67.
Okay.
Because I think it's actually a good movie. I think it's much better than the Whedon cut. And I think the individual parts of it are great. I think the whole has a lot of issues and a lot of, for lack of a better word, holes that are poked into it. And yeah, I think 67 is a really good score for it.
All right. Well, Tristan has not sent in his score yet, so he may or may not get included on this final number. What?
Let's just make one up for him.
Maybe. I mean, I could just be funny and have both of us give it a 67. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I really did enjoy watching this film. Okay, he actually did just send a score. I'll get to that in a second. I mean, I did enjoy this film. But again, what ruins this for me and drags down my rating so much is that it just feels like it was a waste of time, which I hate because, like, if we had gotten this or even like a shell of this 4 years ago, yeah, it would have been really good. Like, I probably would have given this like an 80 at least. But at this point, this movie just feels like Warner Brothers coming out and saying, well, here's what you could have had, but we decided that we wanted money now, and then also 4 years later, so here's what you got. And that just drags it down. I'm going to give this movie a 60.
And then Tristan sent in a score, and I don't get what the heck he was thinking.
I mean, I think Tristan has the luxury of viewing this movie in more of a vacuum than we do.
Yeah, that's also true. Oh yeah, Tristan
Yeah,
gave it an 80.
yeah.
Sorry, he gave it an 80.
I mean, that's his prerogative, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think he gave any reason for it. Nope, he didn't. Anyway, after plugging that into our patented scoreometer, that gives us a final score of a 68.5. So it is almost a good movie.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
It is a movie.
Oh,
But yes, this has been our review of the Snyder Cut. And it was only about a quarter as long as the movie. So
just
I think
watch this 3 more times and you see
Right.
how long that felt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure to keep up with us. Keep up with us on social media at Viter Media. We've got new episodes of Tea with Doug G every Monday night. Doug, who you got on tea this week?
This week, y'all, we're having the great Mr. Jared Gilstrap on.
I love Jared.
I love Jared. He's awesome. That's gonna be happening tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Viter Media's Facebook page, my Facebook page, and the Tea with Doug G YouTube channel, which some of you have been watching on.
Hot dog. All right, and then we also have a new episode of Setting the Skene dropping Wednesday. It will be our episode on the Disney Channel movie Holes.
Dig it on, dig it. Dig it on.
Yes.
That was beautiful. If you want to listen to Doug do that some more, he does it on the episode too.
A lot.
But yes, if you think we're done talking about the DC universe, well, you're not completely wrong. Funny enough, next week we're actually doing another DC movie, but it'll just be a regular episode talking about Batman: The Killing Joke. We've already recorded it, and it's a really fun episode. So be sure to check out for that.
Had huge potential.
Yes. But yeah, be sure to check that out. And again, follow us on social media at Viter Media. But until next time, I'm Ben.
I'm Doug.
I'm Tristen.
And I'm Michael.
I'm Tristen.
But yes, this has been Setting the Skene. I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Boom.